What up, people? Push of All Black here, and I just give me a couple minutes because I got to rant about Apple. I have a love and hate relationship with Apple, and they did their another Apple event, which I'm hoping that I always hope that like when Apple does an event, like they'll do some really cool thing, or I'm waiting for the touchscreen computer to actually happen, and it never happens. It's always some iPhone ridiculousness. The last, which this one actually is, and the last like real keynote of note for me was the Touch Bar MacBook Pro. So I'm just gonna read you a Facebook status that I wrote because that encompasses what I'm going to my thoughts about Apple as a whole, and go from there. So, $1,100 for an iPhone, but Apple computers are lessening in specs and upgradability to the point that most of us are using 5-year-old computers. Mac Mini Server 2012 is my system of choice for the 2 hard drives. The iPad is the new netbook, a pointless device that won't go away. The iPad Pro is a whack excuse for a touchscreen computer without actually giving us one. The Mac Pro sucks now. The new MacBook Pro is underwhelming with no touchscreen. I really miss the old Apple, the 02 to 04 Apple, the Apple that still gave a darn about creatives, the Apple that still let you upgrade your computer yourself, the Apple that was on the cutting edge of computing technology, not consumer technology. There is a difference. I hate this new Apple, the flashy Apple with no soul that forgot where it came from. I wish I knew how to build my own system because I'd build a Hackintosh PC and be done. They gotta be out their rabbit ass mind if they think we're gonna pay $1,100 for an iPhone. Now, the last half a sentence I actually didn't write down, but still. I started using Apple in 2002 when I put my foot in graphic design and just dove right in and became an Apple, uh, not an Apple fan, because the first couple of years it was frustrating because I was a PC person and I learned Photoshop on a PC, so I was used to PC, and I was used to Windows XP, which was the best system that Windows came out with. That's my favorite system, but that's my favorite PC system. And then I didn't really like OS 9. OS 9 was frustrating. Then OS 10 came out, and I was like, wow, this is better. This is way better than any PC software that I've ever, PC operating system that I've ever had to deal with. This is so much easier. And then I was like, all right, Apple's going to be my new computer. And I bought a PC. I remember last PC I actually paid for was compact, and it had Windows XP in it. And I wasn't able to. I didn't design with it. I basically used it for general computing because I was always in the labs doing my graphic design and editing work. My first computer I got was an iMac, which crashed after 5 years. I think there was something wrong with the motherboard because I switched out the hard drive, or it was originally like a hard drive issue. Switched out the hard drive, and something else happened to it, and I wasn't able to get it fixed. Then in 2012, I got a Mac Mini. So my first Mac was in 2007, and my first Mac was in 2007. Mac Mini was the 2012 one, and that was the last model where you can actually go into the Mini and like fix it up yourself without them soldering everything. Because now they soldered everything where you can't really upgrade it yourself, which is why a lot of people are still using their Mac Minis if they have them. Just like a lot of people are still using those old school towers those old school Mac Pro towers, because a lot of people are still using the old school Mac Pro towers because the trash can Mac Pro sucks. You can't. It's little. The specs aren't really as good as a souped up old school Mac Pro tower, and you have so many the way the connection. And this is specifically for video editors and stuff, which I kind of know how to do a little bit. It's such a chore trying to log video and trying to capture video with an iPad with a MacBook with the Mac Pro. It's frustrating having to do that, and a lot of people are not getting those. They're not selling well. They didn't sell well. Not because it was a bad computer. It was just because of how hard it was to capture things, and the specs weren't really well. Apple wants us to pay $1,100 for an iPhone. Like the iPhone 8 is going to be $1,000. The iPhone X is going to be a decent iPhone X is going to be $1,100. They want us to pay $1,100 for an iPhone, but you can't give us a decent computer. Like, come on, man. The MacBook Pro sucks. Which people still using old school MacBook Pros. People still using like MacBook Pros from like 2010, 2012. I'm running my Mac Mini. I got a Mac Mini server. I souped up a Mac Mini server. Here's the thing, like when people say like the Mac Mini sucks and certain computer sucks that Apple has, because people go out and they look at the price point and they go, oh, $549 for a Mac Mini, you gotta have a monitor, da, da, da. You never, ever get a base model of anything, of any computer, whether it's a PC or a Mac. You always soup it up. You always get, like, I spent $1,000, I spent like $1,200 on a Mac Mini server. I souped up the RAM, I souped up the RAM, I souped up the memory, I souped up I got the 2 hard drives. And I can still go, if that Mac, it still runs strong because I souped it up. I can still do my video editing because I souped it up. I can do my graphic design. I'm not running Sierra because I don't see the point of running Sierra. I think I still have El Capitan on mine. And there's no reason for me to upgrade to Sierra because I don't use voice command. I don't use Siri. So until I have to, because there's been some times where Apple has made you upgrade into certain things, i.e. Mavericks, because Mavericks was really underwhelming. Apple has made you upgrade into certain things, and it ended up biting you in the butt when you do that. So I'm still running with I think El Capitan. I never upgraded to Sierra yet, and I won't until I have to. And it still runs fine. Like it's a damn shame that like people are still using 5. It's not a damn shame as far as the quality, but it's a damn shame that people are not upgrading their systems because Apple, if you get they're phasing out the Mac Mini. I think in 2017 is going to be the last year that they're going to have it. And it's really not worth to upgrade to a new computer for me until this one burns out, basically. And if this one burns out, I can take it up to Micro Center or a computer shop that knows how to build Macs or knows how to repair Macs, buy the stuff that I need to do it to rebuild the computer, and have somebody do the actual like work for me, because I'm not really good at building a system, but I know the components that I need to build a system, and just have somebody do it for me. But it's just like, I hate Apple now. I love it because it's still easy. There's still not a lot of viruses left. There's still not a lot of viruses for it. I think that's going to change in the next 2-3 years because the market share is growing. Right now, it's still relatively low because of Apple's price points, and they're cutting down on the entry level price point computers because I hear, like I said earlier, the Mac Mini is no longer. They're thinking of doing away with the Mac Mini. I'm not sure about the MacBook Air, and everybody's just focusing on the iPad and the iPhone. The iPod Touch is going away, and it's just like, okay, we're focusing on the iMac, which the iMac is fine, but to be quite honest, my Mac Mini runs better than my iMac did, and I got a souped up iMac. Because I always get souped up computers. Whatever I get, I never get like I never get the base model of anything. Like, because I knew what I wanted to do. Like, I knew I always wanted to be when I was in school. I knew I was going to use every computer I got for graphic design and web design. So you had to have a decent graphics. I had to have a decent graphics card. I had to have decent memory. Because I was running like Photoshop. I think my first PC that I actually bought, I didn't really take into the account video editing. When I started buying Macs, I took account into my video editing, and so I always made sure I had decent RAM. I always made sure I had a decent hard drive and decent memory, always. So, and now it's just like, I don't know, man. It's like I want to get a laptop computer, but every time I look at a Surface One commercial, every time I look at a Surface commercial, I'm like, I want a Surface, or like, I want a Surface. I want a Windows 10 computer, and I'm not like a Windows hater because I came from a PC background first. It's just Mac is a lot easier to deal with. I still have my iPhone 4, and quiet as kept, if my iPhone 4 didn't break and get water damage, I probably would still have my iPhone 4 and still use it as a phone. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have an iPhone 6, it's fine, and I have my iPhone 4 still works because at the time when it got damaged, I couldn't get it to like reset properly. I couldn't get it to factory reset properly, so I had to and no one knew how to get it to reset. So finally, one day on a whim, I was at like a video game store, and they sold iPhone stuff. They sold iPhones and iPads and stuff, but it was like pre-used stuff. So I just had my iPhone 4 with me. Don't know why, but I had it with me, and I was like, do you know how to fix iPhones? And the guy, we sat there and we worked on my iPhone for about a good hour, and he gave me this cord, and I think the battery was we went into the iPhone, the battery was kind of damaged. We tried to replace the battery, that didn't work. He gave me like one of those 30-prong USB cords, and he's like, man, like, let it sit in your computer, like hooked up to your computer for overnight, and see if that resets the phone. That resets the phone. Do you know that iPhone 4 is my basic recording device? That, and I bought like an iPod Touch 6. So what I'm recording this on is an is an iPod Touch 6, and I have my backup recording device is my iPhone 4. It still runs. I can still talk on the phone, even though it'll be a backup phone if I ever lose or break my iPhone 6. And I can still run most apps on it. So I would have basically an iPhone 4 if at the time I didn't have to replace the phone because I thought it died. Because it worked. I let it sit overnight. It factory reset, and then I was able to like get everything that I needed to get on it, and it works fine. But I have a new phone, so I use the old phone for like for basically recording the vlogs and stuff. But I'm not paying $1,100 for an iPhone. I refuse to do that. That's just backwards. You can't. This company can't give you a decent computer with decent specs. The specs have gone down every year. Every update, the specs have gone down for retina screens and this consumer shit. And it's frustrating because they forgot where they came from. They forgot that for a while when the market share was 5% and no one was giving a crap about Apple except creators and schools. The creators basically kept Apple afloat, man. And the iMacs came out, the old school iMacs came out with the colored, you know, back plates or face plates or whatever, and everybody was like, wow. And I wanted one, and I couldn't get one because I was a broke college student. And then the iPhone came out, and everybody lost their shit. And when the iPad came out, a lot of more people lost their shit because, ooh, it's an iPhone. And Steve Jobs, revolutionized the way we talk on the phone and the way we use cell phones to basically give us mini computers. After that, Apple went downhill to me, like, because we have redefined what the tablet is, and it has gotten worse because what the tablet computer used to be an actual tablet computer. Like the Ultrabooks that everybody, the PCs are like, oh, look at the Ultrabook. That used to be the old school tablet computers, the clunky old school tablet computers that the style you couldn't use your finger, but you had a stylus, and it was really expensive, and the touchscreen technology wasn't really there, but you had one. And then the iPad came out, and it was really sleek, and it looked really nice, and the touchscreen was easy, but it had no computing power at all. But that was his answer for the netbook. And everybody just, we're going to get iPads now. And then when you get one, it's like, well, damn, I can't do nothing with it. Can't run any programs with it. The programs that you do run with it are so basic, you can't do anything with them. And it's just like, okay, we have this pointless little machine that we can only like surf the internet with. And I find it funny that a year before Apple released the iPad, Steve Jobs was clowning, the PC marketplace because people were releasing netbooks. And he was saying that, like, netbooks are crap. Basically, you created a crappy version of a tablet that can only run little apps and surf the internet. And the iPad Pro is a waste of money. You're spending $1,200 for it to function like a computer, but it has no ports. Everything is based on the cloud, and you really can't do anything with it because it doesn't run a full operating system. It doesn't run a desktop operating system. It runs an OS. OS systems are lesser systems than a full operating system. They just are. When I can get a Surface for basically the same amount of money with a keyboard with USB ports, and you don't have to do anything with the cloud, because I know I sound like a dinosaur here, but not a lot. But there's still people that don't trust the cloud like that. I don't trust the cloud like that. I still have physical media, and I have hard drives. So it just, I don't know, man. That little keynote thing today, I never watched their keynotes in entirety because I don't have 3 hours to sit and waste on the computer to listen to them babble about a phone. But I went in, I listened to what I needed to listen to. I read some articles, and I'm disenfranchised, man. I did a rant like this similar like last year, and I'm disenfranchised, man. And it sucks because probably gonna have to deal with Apple again because of my career and because of I'm used to it now. But I genuinely hate new Apple now, where everything is consumer technologies stuff. Like, I wish they would just get can you give me a touchscreen computer with some USB ports, please? Like, why do I have to go and grab a MacBook Air, you know what I'm saying, to get like a decent sized computer, a decent priced computer? Because I don't want to pay $2,500 for a decent laptop, man. That's stupid. To get like, a mobile editing station or something. You know what I'm saying? Like, just give me something that I can actually use with a touchscreen, please. Like, to where I don't have to hack the damn uh, MacBook Pro. I'm probably gonna end up having to buy the damn MacBook Pro at some point. iPad Pro. I'm probably gonna have to buy a damn iPad at some point, um, just cause of how my job, not my job, but just how the YouTube thing is, and just how like I'm probably gonna need a mobile computing solution at some point. But it's just like every keynote, it just makes me angry because this is not what I grew up on Apple with. Like, Apple was the cool from PC to Apple. PC was business. Apple was cool. Apple was the creator. Apple was for creatives. Apple had the best computing power. You know what I'm saying? Which is why we paid the money. Apple had the best computing power. Apple was like, it was really cool to have an Apple. Now it's like, yeah, you giving us a damn retina screen iPhone. Yay, and a camera. And, a better megapixel camera. That's what I'm getting. I'm not getting a better computer. I'm not getting a better computing experience. I can talk to Siri on my computer now. Really? That's what we're doing? That's it. That's all. And and I get an iWatch. Like, no, not getting an iWatch. And you know what sucks too? Like, their tablets, and I'm done after this. The Apple tablets, like, there's no basic Apple tablet that you gotta spend at least $200 for an Apple tablet. Like, I bought a Nook for and if y'all follow me on Instagram, I posted this on my Instagram. Follow me on Instagram, Pushaball Black at Instagram. But I posted on Instagram how I turned and my Nook, because I bought a Barnes and Noble like Android Nook tablet for like $50 because I wanted to be able to turn it into like a Kodi device so I can watch, so I don't have to sit and watch Bulls games on my computer. So I can watch like Bulls games and like NBA stuff, because when I do the NBA blogs, I wanted to be able to watch the games and save the games on my on a tablet, so I don't have to like sit at a computer and watch the games online. And I couldn't figure out Kodi to work, but I couldn't take the computer back. I couldn't take the Nook back. So I turned that into I basically hacked it and turned it into a retro gaming system. And I put all the games that I have on, all the games that I own for my Super Nintendo and Game Boy. And I got some Nintendo like homebrews on there too, on a Nook. And you would think it would be really hard, but it's real easy. You think it'd be really hard to go from a Mac to an Android device? It's really not. There's like a software that you can get to where everything is transferable. Everything is transferable to from your Mac device to an Android device. Not the apps, because I was trying to see if you can put OS software on an Android device. You really can't do that. You can fake it. You can download all the stuff that makes it look like it, but you can't really put it. You can't really put an OS device on an Android tablet. Like you can put, like you can kind of run and like Apple like operating systems on a PC and vice versa. You can't really do that with the mobile system, but you can do that with the regular like with a regular PC, which is why I wish I was able to build my own system because I would really build a Hackintosh system, figure out how to get it to work, and just be done. Because like I'm done with the whole Apple like we're giving you less computing power for more money. So it's like why would I spend $200-$300 or $150 for iPad mini for, and you can't even give me, I can't even run a full version of Photoshop on the damn tablet. Like on a Surface you can run full Photoshop on, which is basically is what I use to do all my graphics for, to do all the graphics for the YouTube channel and to do like I only use Illustrator. I use Illustrator to basically deal with fonts. That's it. And to deal with like if I got to do a poster or something. I do InDesign. Basically, you can do InDesign for a poster and for anything big or anything multi-document. I use InDesign for that. I use InDesign for that. I use Illustrator for basically the manipulating fonts, and I use Photoshop for all the design stuff because I'm basically using anything that I design now because I'm designing for myself. Anything that I design for myself and the YouTube channel and any internet graphics that I use Photoshop for just because it's a what is it? Not vector, but the other one. It's easier to deal with computer graphics and digital graphics on raster. It's easier to rasterize things in Photoshop than it is in Illustrator. So I can get a Surface book. I can get a basic Surface, soup up the Surface, and run Photoshop on the Surface. And you can't, like, I can't even run a basic version of Photoshop on any iPad. Even the iPad Pro, you can't run. Like, they won't make a Photoshop version for iPad Pro. Because when the iPad Pro came out, I was like, all right, I'll buy the iPad Pros. But specifically because this might give me a touchscreen computer. Okay, cool. Then I go to the Apple store. I asked the dude, "Can you run Photoshop with it?" No. And then they showed me like you can run like Adobe gestures. I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm awesome. Like I'll continue to do what I do at home, and then at some point when I feel like I want to sit down and I want to learn the Windows operating system, I want to sit down, I'll buy a Surface and I'll learn how to deal with the Windows system and learn how to master a Surface. Because this is stupid. But Apple wants us to pay $1,100 for a phone, for the new phone, or for the basic model of an iPhone 8, I gotta pay $900 damn near. I'm good. I'm done, man. Anyway, that's my rant about Apple and my love-hate relationship with them. Push a Wild Blackout. Thank you for dealing with my craziness on this topic, but it really make me mad. But we're stuck with them. Anyway, Push a Wild Blackout. Later. Oh, and P.S. I don't like the force, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. A couple points I made earlier, rather. At some point, you're gonna have to get like certain things, and luckily for us that are still using older computers, we can still, they're good enough to. They're supporting. Apple's supporting, the specs that like a lot of older computers are running. Like you can still if you have a computer, because I'm seeing this a lot in on YouTube now. A lot of people are finding old Mac Minis and um, old Mac Minis, old MacBook Pros, or old MacBooks, like the white joints with the little Apple symbol on the back, and they're still using those. At some point, and people are still figuring out how to use like the old things, but I hate the fact, man, that you can't. It's really hard because they make it really hard to keep your old stuff. I'm still using a lot of my old stuff because I'll sit on the computer. This is what I will sit on the computer and do. I'll sit on the computer and research how to figure out ways to use old equipment. I learned how to jailbreak. I know, it's not hard, but you think that jailbreak would be something really, really simple. But I sat and learned how to jailbreak and learned how to use, the software to jailbreak phones, basically by sitting on the computer and figuring out how to jailbreak an old iPod 3 because I wanted to use a specific app, and come to find out that because the whole reason that I turned my Android into a portable video game system is one, I'm not messing. I wanted to see if I can do this without getting a Raspberry Pi. Two, I had an old iPod Touch that I didn't use, and I Googled, and I found this video on YouTube to how you can put emulators on an iPod, right? And there was a way that you can do it without jailbreaking, because I thought jailbreaking was going to be this really hard thing, and that didn't work. So then, the YouTube rabbit hole led me to this is how to jailbreak stuff. So I jailbroke my iPod Touch 3. If you jailbreak the iPod Touch, and you basically turn the iPod Touch 3 into all the graphics of the iPod 5, because I think you can run on iPod 3, you can run OS 7 or something. You can run OS 7. So it looks like basically an iPod 5. The graphics do. None of the apps work though. None of the apps work. There's some apps, because of the upgrades and stuff. There's some apps that I would love to continue to play on my iPod or on my iPhone 4 that actually are better. Some of the older apps are better than the newer apps, the updates on the newer apps. The Madden mobile app is better. The couple versions of, not 2 versions ago, because 2 versions ago was bad. It was buggy. It was lagging. But then the one before the new update, the Madden Mobile before the new update, was awesome. And now the update, they made it to where you lost all your progress, and they changed how it was supposed to go. Tetris Blitz is the same thing. The Tetris Blitz before the newer updates was way better, but they changed the update to where you can't run it on anything less than it. I have it on an iPod, my iPhone 4, and you can't run it on anything because it'll crash. Anything, if you don't have an iPad, if you don't have an iPod 5 or iPhone 5 or better, most of your apps will crash. Because even if you update them, they'll run for a second and then they'll crash. So I hate too the fact that you can't, with Apple stuff, with the apps at least, you can't run old programs on Apple software and hardware. People are figuring out how to do it with, the computers, but still you're real limited now as far as new things. Whereas with PCs, you can still find old software and you can still kind of run a lot of old things on old computers. So that's another thing that that I was noticing about being an Apple person that I'm really not liking. That and the fact that you can't. That and the fact that you can't upgrade anything. Like I just, like now they're making it to where you can't upgrade anything. They solder everything together, and I think I mentioned that before. But yeah, like when you try to do anything on any old technology that Apple has, it's really hard and it's frustrating because things crash. But I figured out how to use I have the iPad, the iPod 6, and I have the iPhone 6. So hopefully, and I've had this phone for almost a year, and I've had the iPod for almost a couple of, well, I've had the iPhone for a year. I've had the iPod Touch for almost a year. So hopefully this will last me 2 years because my iPhone 4 lasts me 2 years, 2.5 years. And then by the time it gets to the point where I have to upgrade, the iPhone 8 will be lesser than what it is, than how much it is, and I can go from there. But yeah, anyway, I'm done now. But yeah, that's just something that as right before I wanted to sync the audio, I thought of that. So yeah, push while blackout again. Finally, later.